Welcome, listeners, to another My Mind MashUps deep dive, where we unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and hopefully make sense of complex ideas together.
Yeah.
Today, we're looking at this kind of digital mirror we've all built. And, well, the reflection staring back, it's getting really complex. It's leading to this deep tension in modern life.
Oh, absolutely. That tension, it's really this growing gap, isn't it, between our real world, physical selves and this other virtual version we project online. It's like it's creating a kind of fundamental confusion about where we belong almost.
It really feels like we're all juggling this second self, this digital identity. And for a lot of people, maybe even most, that digital self is starting to feel, well, more important. And the data you found, especially from those European youth surveys, it just hammers home this digital shift.
It really does. I mean, look at how they get their news. 72% of European teens, primarily through social media. But it's not just about information, it's deeper, it's emotional. A pretty striking 63% feel more emotionally connected to their online groups, these, algorithmic tribes, than to their actual local towns or neighborhoods.
Wow.
They're finding their village online, essentially.
The villages without bridges, as you call them. And that feeling, that connection, it's actually spilling out into the real world now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That stat about fashion, that just blew me away.
Yeah, that's maybe the most visible sign of this avatar influence. We found that 84% of Gen Z and Alpha say their real-world clothing traces are directly shaped by how they style their avatars.
So the self is literally flowing outwards from the screen into reality.
Exactly. The virtual is shaping the physical.
Okay, so this really brings us to the core question of this deep dive. And it's a bit provocative, maybe, but we want you, listening right now, to really think about it. Is your avatar, in some ways, becoming more you than you are? We're going to dig into the sources, try to understand the psychological, the social, and even the neurological costs of living this double life.
Yeah, we'll explore how avatars can be like these little labs for trying out identities, which can be good, but also the risks, right? When that virtual self gets too far away from your real embodied self, that's what researchers are starting to call identity disjunction.
Definitely something to think about. And hey, if you enjoy content that makes you think, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so let's unpack this avatar thing. They're clearly way more than just, digital dress up. Their appearance actually changes how we think, how we feel, even how we act online.
That's the core idea behind the Proteus Effect. It's a really foundational concept from researchers Yi and Bailenson. Basically, what they found is that the characteristics of your avatar, your brain sort of adopts them, and that influences how you behave in that virtual space.
Right, so give us some examples. How does that actually play out?
Well, the study showed some clear patterns. Participants who were given taller avatars, they tended to negotiate more aggressively in tasks.
Really? Just being taller made them tougher?
Yeah. And if you had a more attractive avatar, you were actually more likely to share personal stuff, reveal more details to strangers. Even in work settings, like virtual meetings, people using avatars that looked, professional and polished, they reported feeling genuinely more competent, like they were better at the job.
Okay, wait, so the avatar changes how others see you, obviously, but you're saying it changes how you feel inside. Does the brain actually, absorb these traits? Does it even affect physical feelings?
That's the really wild part. A recent 2024 study in Nature looked at exactly that. They put people into these really muscular avatars.
Okay.
And then they had them do a task that involved mild pain. The results: those who were embodied in the stronger muscular avatars reported pain scores that were about 16% lower.
No way, 16%?
Yep. It's like the brain, on some level, kind of accepted the avatar's strong body as its own, right down to the pain signals. It's pretty profound. Digital identity kind of hijacking the nervous system.
That is incredible. It suggests our resilience, or maybe our vulnerability, could actually be tweaked digitally. Okay, what about risk? You mentioned a study, Tanaka and Haruno, about avatars and the amygdala, our brain's risk detector.
Right. This gets into how we handle uncertainty. What their study showed was fascinating. When people expected feedback on, say, a gambling task to come from an avatar, they consistently made riskier choices. The amygdala, which usually flags uncertainty as danger, be careful, seemed to process that uncertain avatar feedback as, well, somehow more appealing, less threatening.
So just knowing an avatar is involved makes us more likely to gamble, essentially. Does that spill over? Like, if I get used to taking risks in a game with my avatar, am I more likely to make risky bets with my actual money?
That specific study focused more on the immediate brain shift, the mechanism. But yeah, the implication is definitely there. The way we weigh up uncertain outcomes is being subtly changed. We need to be aware of that potential spillover. But, it's not all negative psychology. Avatars do offer this really valuable space for exploring who you are.
Ah, right, the self-expansion idea.
Exactly. There was a study looking at VR chat users. It confirmed that exploring different facets of identity in that space was positively linked to self-esteem, to life satisfaction. But like you said earlier, it's definitely a double-edged sword. If the virtual you becomes too radically different from the real you, that's the identity disjunction we talked about, then it actually starts to harm self-esteem. It makes people less satisfied with their lives.
So alignment is key, keeping the virtual and real self somewhat connected.
Alignment is crucial for mental well-being, yeah.
And we should also touch on the therapeutic side. That Avatar 2 trial sounds amazing, using avatars to help people manage auditory hallucinations.
It's really groundbreaking work. Patients engage in these guided conversations with a digital representation of the voice they hear. And the results show it significantly reduces how severe the hallucinations feel and how much distress they cause.
That's using the tech for some serious good, a really positive application.
Absolutely. It shows the power can be harnessed constructively. So we've seen how powerful avatars are for individuals, but what happens when you scale that up? Billions of people interacting through these digital selves. That's when we start seeing broader societal effects, like fragmentation.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah.
Because these digital spaces, they seem to be carving us up into these micro-identities.
Yeah.
You mentioned things like hashtag book talk or hashtag tradwife or hashtag gamer culture. It feels like, especially for teens, these online groups with their own specific values and stories are becoming more important than, say, national identity or local community ties.
They are incredibly powerful communities, yeah. But they also really amplify this thing called context collapse. Have you heard of that?
I think so. Isn't that about all your different social circles getting smushed together online?
Exactly. It's the stress you feel when your diverse audience is, your family, your boss, your old school friends, your gaming buddies. They all end up in the same online space, seeing the same posts.
Yeah, I can see how that would be stressful, especially for teenagers, right? When you're still figuring out who you are.
Definitely. Context collapse has a few parts. There's the flattening of audiences, like we said. Then there's the time distortion, like embarrassing posts from years ago can just pop up.
Yeah.
And meaning gets unstable too. Tone and context get lost so easily in text. All that pressure, it's actually pushing people off the big open platforms and into smaller, more private online spaces, like little walled gardens.
It's interesting though, because some research suggests that actively managing your online identity, tweaking your profile, presenting different sides of yourself, that's actually linked to more identity exploration in a good way. It's kind of natural.
That's true. Explanation can be healthy. But the sources are also pretty clear. Spending too much time focused on comparing yourself to others online, or just chasing likes and validation, that's where it tips over into distress, into having a really fizzy sense of who you actually are. Low self-concept clarity.
Authenticity seems key.
Yeah, and we should probably point out this idea of a fragmented self isn't totally new. It didn't just arrive with the internet.
Oh.
Think about historical ideas like Western philosophies split between the body and the mind or spirit, and maybe even more relevant, consumer culture.
How consumer culture paved the way for this?
Well, it constantly told us to build ourselves, didn't it? Your identity became tied to what you owned, the brands you liked, the image you projected. The moment society started saying your worth is tied to your external image, the clothes, the car, whatever we were already primed, the digital age just gave us much faster, more powerful tools to do the exact same thing.
So digital tech is just amplifying a cultural story that's been around for a while.
A very powerful amplifier, yes.
Quick reminder, if this deep dive is resonating with you, hitting that subscribe button means you won't miss the next one.
Okay, so we've covered the psychology, the social fragmentation. Let's go even deeper now, right into the brain, the neuroscience. How are our brains actually wired for this avatar stuff? And what are the risks there? Okay, so let's think about how the brain even knows what's me. There was a study in 2025 using ERP that measures brain activity, and it showed the brain combines face cues and body cues to build our sense of self-identity. When people saw an avatar that perfectly matched their own face and their own body type, the brain showed less effort, a smaller signal called N2 needed to recognize, yep, that's me.
Ah, so alignment matters neurologically too.
Huh.
If my avatar looks totally different or the face and body don't match me, my brain actually has to work harder to accept it as self.
Exactly right. Mismatched avatars disrupt that smooth recognition process. It takes more cognitive load. And of course, we need to circle back to that risk circuitry we talked about. That Tanaka and Haruno study is really important here. It shows that just expecting feedback from an avatar changes how the amygdala responds to uncertainty. It nudges people towards making riskier choices.
And this tendency towards digital risk, that's something the platforms themselves can exploit, right? Which brings us to the dopamine loop.
That's the crux of it, yeah. Those AI algorithms running social media feeds, they're incredibly sophisticated. They're designed specifically to grab and hold your attention, constantly pinging your brain's reward centers, messing with your dopamine pathways.
Which basically creates a kind of dependency, doesn't it? Almost like an addiction. It can mess with rational thinking, make us more emotionally reactive.
It becomes this self-reinforcing cycle engineered purely to keep you scrolling, keep you engaged. But understanding these brain processes is also leading to new ideas, like something called neuromanagement.
Neuromanagement, what's that?
Well, the idea is to use neuroscience insights, maybe even monitoring tools, to understand workers' emotional states in virtual environments, and then use that data to design, say, future metaverse workplaces that are actually healthier. Things like better ergonomics, reducing stress, figuring out how to structure digital rewards so they're motivating but not, addictive. Trying to build better loops, essentially.
Okay, interesting. So we've gone through the psychology, the social effects, the brain science. What does this all mean for us day to day? How do we find that authenticity, that alignment, when the world keeps pulling us towards our digital selves?
Well, the path really starts with being more intentional, and the research strongly backs the idea of taking breaks. A big 2024 meta-analysis confirmed that even temporary breaks from social media significantly cut down depressive symptoms.
Why does that work?
It seems to lower stress hormones like cortisol, and it just reduces that constant, often negative social comparison. So yeah, the digital detox, it genuinely helps reset things.
It breaks the cycle. Okay, so based on everything we've discussed, what are maybe the top 3 practical steps people can take?
Okay, 3 things. First, manage your dopamine. Seriously, turn off non-essential notifications on your phone. You need to break those little engineered reward loops that make you constantly check your device. You decide when to engage, not the ping.
Right. Take back control from the algorithm. What's number 2?
Number 2 relates back to that identity alignment. Post intentionally. Try shifting your focus away from just chasing likes or shares. Instead, think about sharing things that genuinely reflect your own core values. Engaging authentically like that, it's actually proven to strengthen your sense of self, your self-concept clarity, and reduce that internal conflict.
Makes sense. Be real, basically. And the 3rd step?
The 3rd is crucial: offline integration. You have to actively schedule regular face-to-face time with people. Commit to hobbies and activities that happen in the physical world. This reinforces your identity in a tangible way, grounding you in reality, not just in digital feedback loops.
This really makes me think of Carl Jung's idea of the persona of the social mask we all wear. It feels like we need to be really conscious of these digital personas we create.
Exactly. We need to make sure these digital masks remain tools for expression, for maybe exploring different sides of ourselves, but they can't become prisons. We can't let algorithms dictate who we are. We should be the ones using the mask, not letting the mask take over.
That sums it up perfectly. We built this amazing digital mirror, hoping it would reflect the world, but somewhere along the line, it started reflecting us back and actually changing us in the process. So the goal isn't necessarily to ditch the digital world entirely, right? It's finding that balance, using the expansion it offers, but staying anchored to our real authentic selves.
It's about choosing our identity consciously, not algorithmically.
Well said. And if you found this valuable, please do like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind MashUps deep dives. Before we wrap up, we always like to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Thinking about the ethics of all this, how can we push for policies in the metaverse, in these growing digital spaces, that ensure real equivalence and alignment? Meaning, how do we make sure our virtual rights mirror our real-world ones, especially to protect us from things like deepfakes or having our identities stolen or exploited online?
That's a huge question, and a vital one for everyone building this digital future.
Definitely something to think about. You can find My Mind MashUps everywhere you listen: Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube. And please drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could genuinely shape where we go in our next deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.